All right, welcome back to the TCI studio. Will Vandervort, Robert MacRae. We are going to talk football. Believe it or not, we're sitting here recording this. We are less than a week away from the start of spring practice. Looking forward to that. We're actually going to be able to unleash Bart Boatwright. We're going to be able to have a photographer there for the first 3 days. So lots of pictures headed your way. First day of practice next Wednesday.
Wednesday, that's correct, yeah. So if you're looking at your calendar, February 24th would be that day. So next Wednesday, the Tigers hit the practice field. I don't know if it'll be outside or inside, depends on the weather. If it's been like it's been leading up to that week, that's probably going to be indoor at the Poe Indoor Practice Facility. But I'm sure if it's warm or whatever, or not raining, they'll probably use the rest
Well, we
of the
want
practice field.
outside because if it's indoor, we don't get to shoot. That's one
Right,
of the
so we
deals.
want it outdoors. But anyway, it's good to be talking football and meaningful football. In other words, it's happening. That's what I like about it.
Well, and obviously the season did not end the way Clemson folks wanted it to end, so it's always good to kind of get that next spring practice started so you can turn the page and focus on what's there. Obviously, one of the big things this year is DJ's the guy. There is no Trevor Lawrence. DJ's team. DJ obviously got plenty of experience this year. Huge game he played at Notre Dame, but it's his team now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how, obviously he's a guy that's played games, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not like you're going in and you're having to totally teach him the first team playbook or any of that stuff. He's kind of got that already. So I guess he's a little bit ahead than what a normal guy would be replacing a legend, if you would. So I think that's going to be a benefit to Clemson as he goes in, because you can just kind of go in and work on some fundamentals and things like that. And then when you get into the playbook and the installation and that stuff they do a little bit in the spring, it's not going to be like you're overloading him. He's going to be ready for it. He's going to know. And that's Robert's going to carry into the offseason when they start doing workouts and things of that nature, because he'll be leading the way. And since he already kind of knows everything, that's going to be beneficial as he plans the summer workouts and things like that. So I think with DJ now in place, that's a good thing for Clemson. The thing I want to look at with the quarterbacks is behind DJ, because let's be honest, there's going to be a drop-off after DJ.
Huge drop-off.
Because you go from Trevor Lawrence and DJ to now you just have DJ. And so Pupachan's got to show more progression, I think, this spring, see where he's at. And then obviously get the other guys just ready.
Hunter Helms. Got to get him a little bit ready. Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see, how Dabo handles the reps, right? Because you want to get DJ as many reps as being the guy, although as we talked about, he got a lot last year. Mm-hmm. But you also want to see who's going to be your number 2 guy. Bubba Chandler's not going to be there yet. He's playing baseball this year, and we'll see how his baseball season goes. I know he had some scouts out there already for his first game, so we'll see if he even makes it to Clemson. I think he will right now, but he's going to have a decision to make this summer. But yeah, that's one of the big things is DJ, the backup battle there. Let's talk a little bit about some of the other things that we'll be paying attention to, some of the keys for spring practice. We've got to go to running back, another position where we're going to be seeing how Linjay and Malusi and, you got some new players coming in the mix as well. Just kind of how does that shake out? Does anybody, what's the order of the running backs coming out of the spring?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Linjay really kind of, he's the senior of the group, right? He's the main guy. I think everybody's expecting him to come in and maybe take control there. So let's see if he does. Remember last year, he had the injury right near the end of fall camp. It carried into the season. It seemed like it took him a while to get his confidence back on his knee. Mm-hmm. If you remember, a lot of times he would bounce the ball outside where the ball wasn't supposed to go, and Tony Elliott got frustrated about seeing that, and he took him out for a couple games, and you didn't see really much of Linjay. Then he kind of came back toward the end of the season, and remember the big run at Virginia Tech. He looked good, and I guess in the game against Ohio State, I think he had the longest run of the game for Clemson in that game. So, is he going to take the next step and become the man? Because this is his room now. So guys are going to look up to him for one thing. And secondly, Clemson, I think, wants him to take that step. Now, Chez Malusi's also another guy to watch. He looked really good toward the end of the year. He actually was getting a lot of second-team reps before the season ended. So, that's probably going to be a good battle between those two, I think, right now. And then, of course, as you mentioned, you got Will Shipley. He's going to be in town. What's he going to do? How much is Clemson going to try to incorporate him into the offense this spring? How fast can he learn it? Things of that nature, because he's obviously valuable in the passing game, which is we saw with Travis Etienne the last couple of years, is very important to this offense.
Well, you got a ton of guys we're talking about there and a ton of reps. C.J. Spiller's now the guy to figure out how he wants to split those reps during the spring. So again, it'll be good to see kind of how those guys shake out. Receivers, another position where there's going to be some questions. Amari's gone, Cornell's gone, Ross is back, but what does he really do this spring? So this is the spring where we need to see Nagata, we need to see Joe and Ladson and some of these other guys really take a step up, Spector. So it's going to be another interesting spring to say, which of those guys kind of demand playing time by the way they're performing in the spring.
And the guy I think who's going to take the next step, in my opinion, is E.J. Williams. And it's going to be that guy I think will be I think he should be the starter.
He's already kind of up front.
Correct. So, see him get even more, because now he'll be kind of the guy, right? And then if you're Ladson, does that motivate you? Because you were the guy last year, and now this other guy's coming in and kind of taking your spot. That's good for Clemson, because that's going to create competition over there. Nagata, you got an opportunity, because Dabo pretty much said it. If Ross came back, they were going to kind of ease him like they did Mike Williams. They weren't going to just throw him right back out there. It was going to be a slow process to get him back. So mainly he'll probably do most of his heavy stuff in the summer when fall camp starts. So this is going to be Nagata's opportunity to make sure, hey, look, don't forget about me. I'm a pretty good playmaker too. As you mentioned, Spector, and then the guy I think a lot of us want to see how ready is he as a JoJo, because of all those guys we mentioned, the freak of all of them is a JoJo.
Yep.
I mean, he's got the most potential and the highest ceiling, in my opinion, to just be a spectacular player.
Yep. Well, and the other thing, if we're going to just focus, and we're not going to go position by position here, but center is another big question mark. What's going to happen at center? Linthicum's coming in. You've got a battle there of some other guys. That's something that is going to be very important to the success of the team next year, is the development at center.
Absolutely. Mason Trotter, he's a guy that he was listed second team at the end of the year center. So how is he going to be when it's all said and done? And does Linthicum just come in and take it? I don't know, especially in the spring. That's a lot to ask a center, because the center position next to the quarterback does so much. It's the number 2 position that's the hardest to learn on the team besides quarterback. So that's asking a lot of a true freshman to come in and grab this offense and the blocking schemes and what the defense is doing and what the defensive line's doing, and to find all those things. That's asking a lot. But, the good news for him is he's going to be practicing against the best defense to learn. So he'll get a lot of good experience this spring by doing that. So it's good that he's in camp. But, that's an interesting position. And then also on the offensive line, Robert, is at left tackle position where Jackson Carman is left. So, you got 2 guys that are candidates there, I think, in Jordan McFadden and then Walker Parks. The winner of that battle probably, or the loser of that battle probably, is your starting right tackle.
Definitely. Yeah,
So it'd be interesting to see how that competition at left tackle goes, because that's going to make those 2 guys good. Because, look, right tackle's good, you're a starter, but if you're the left tackle, you're the man. So you can imagine that's going to be pretty good competition.
All right, we're going to finish up with one thing on the defense. Obviously, they return 11 starters on defense, so not as many questions there. Still, some good battles. The big question I've got for the spring is Xavier Thomas. What do we see? I'm going to go Xavier Thomas. I'm going to go Justin Foster. What do we see from those 2 guys? Those are the guys that can have a huge impact on whether it's a really good defensive line or if they can get back to their potential. It's a fantastic line.
Yeah, I guess if you're a fan, you're probably you just want to see those guys out there and practicing consistently, because you didn't see Justin Foster at all last year. He was out the entire season. So nobody's seen him since the spring. And then Xavier Thomas, he got in for 7 games, but then missed the last 2. You didn't see him at all. And so didn't travel. So fans are interested to see him out on the practice field. So, I think that's a very good point. You want to see what those 2 guys do. I also want to see the battle at cornerback with Andrew Booth, Sheridan Jones, Mario Goodrich. I think that's going to be a very good competition because those guys want to be starters, and so they're going to be all
who's
battling
going to win
for
that
it.
competition?
I think. Well, I know who should.
Number 23.
Yeah, I think Andrew Booth should.
I don't think that's a competition.
I think, but it's good to have that competition because that's going to make your depth better. And we know Clemson had some issues last year in the secondary late in the year where there were blown assignments and things like that. So those guys just need to get more consistent. And I like the fact that there's competition everywhere because that makes guys more focused and play better. And I think that's going to benefit Clemson.
Yep. All right, that's a quick teaser. Spring practice starts Wednesday. Bart's going to be out there with his Hornets Nest sweatshirt on for Ryan Linthicum. He's going to recognize that and say, here we go. We had a great visit up there a few years ago. Excitement starts here in just a few days. Stay tuned to the Clemson Insider. We're going to have spring practice covered as thoroughly as we can. Everything headed your way starting next Wednesday. So stay tuned to the Clemson Insider for the most complete coverage of Clemson football and recruiting.